What's up YouTube, Jeff back again. Today another very exciting Samsung video for you guys. Today I've been using the iPhone 15 Pro Max as my main phone for the last 48 hours. Switched over pretty much entirely from my S23 Ultra just to kind of give it a go. I always do this at the iPhone launch because of course if I'm going to criticize something then I want to make sure it's a fair criticism. So I'm going to tell you guys kind of how the experience has been, and of course as usual I regret switching because there's a lot of things about Apple that are a lot different than using a Samsung phone, and almost all those things bother me. So we're going to get into that today. Before I do, I want to remind you guys out there that if you are going to be ordering a Galaxy S24 Ultra or other Galaxy S24 device, make sure to check out the link in the pinned comment description. We do mystery boxes for everyone who orders here in the US. You get a free case for your S24 or S24 Ultra. You get a free cleaning kit, other accessories as well, including a phone stand, other really cool stuff. This year, we're also giving away a 75-inch Samsung QLED TV for every 500 confirmed orders. So all you have to do to get the mystery box is to use my affiliate Samsung link when you order. I cover shipping, we cover everything else. There's no cost to you. For every 500 people who do use my affiliate link, not only will they get the mystery box, they'll also be entered into that. For every 500 people, a Samsung TV 75-inch. If we have 1,500 people use our link, we'll give away 3 TVs. So for every 500, we'll give away another one. Check out the link in the description and the pinned comment below. We love doing this for the community. All right, so let's go ahead and talk iPhone 15 Pro Max. I've been using this phone now since Friday. I switched pretty much all of my daily operations over here, including my SIM card. Everything on the phone has been switched over, and I kind of want to talk about my experience using it and what I really miss from the S23 Ultra. So first of all, of course, if you're an Apple fan, there's a lot of great improvements on this phone. I won't deny that. The titanium frame is really nice. It does somewhat change color with your fingerprints, and Apple admitted this. The oil of your finger can kind of change the color of the frame temporarily, but it definitely has a nicer feel in the hand than past iPhones because it's not as sharp. They've also made it a little curved in the back, and they've also made the corners a little less sharp to hold because of the titanium frame. And I do like the matte frame. It is certainly a much lighter phone. It's made the 15 Pro Max more manageable. There's a good chance that I may end up carrying the 15 Pro Max as my iPhone instead of the smaller one. Last year I carried the smaller 15 Pro as my main phone, my main iPhone rather, because it's just lighter. I always carry an iPhone around for testing camera purposes and things like that. But this one is definitely better built and it's lighter. Now, it is more fragile though. I've watched a bunch of drop tests. Obviously, I spent, this is the 512 model. I spent $1,500 after taxes on this. I'm not going to drop this phone. But I've seen a lot of people who do that on their YouTube channels, get those clicks. That's great. I've seen them, and it's very fragile. So compared to last year's iPhone, which had pretty good durability when dropped, because of this slightly curved display now, the slightly curved edges here, you do see it crack a lot easier if you drop it from the same distance as last year's 14 Pro Max. That obviously is concerning. I usually use a case unless I'm in the house. I've been enjoying the nice titanium frame and just kind of keeping the case off of it while I've been in the house, but I usually put a case on it, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal. Also, I do think the natural titanium is the best color. You guys can see it right there. I've got some natural light coming in from my window. It really looks beautiful. I still prefer my beautiful green on the S23 Ultra. It's a lot different. Apple doesn't offer any really like exotic or exciting colors on their phones, which I also think is kind of, frustrating when you buy the flagship phone. You don't get any interesting colors to pick from. They're all kind of, bland colors. Anyway, let's talk about some more positives before I get into the things that really bug me. USB-C is now on your iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max. Obviously, I think that is a huge win because as an Android user, I obviously have USB-C cables everywhere. So now being able to charge my iPhone with USB-C is awesome. So I think that's a really big deal. You can also do video out over USB-C, so you can connect your iPhone to an external display. But of course, it doesn't have a desktop mode like Samsung has DeX. So that's also kind of a downside because you can't really use it. You can just use it, basically project your phone layout to a monitor. But I mean, I don't really have any need to do that. I don't know how many people would really have much interest in doing that. I certainly really don't. So it's just something, though, that you can do, but it's probably not something I would be really, really interested in doing. Now, let me talk about one more positive thing that I really do like about the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and that is the 5x Periscope Zoom that they now added to the Pro Max. So I've been using it this weekend quite a lot. Take photos of my son, some other things. I got some fountain pen ink sitting here on my table here. It's really got good color, really good fidelity, and I'm really impressed with the overall performance of this Periscope Zoom. But again, you also lose that if you opt for the smaller Pro. It's only on the Pro Max, so that's kind of a downside for Apple fans. And this also makes me miss my Galaxy S23 Ultra even more, though, because of course you can see that we have the 10 times Periscope Zoom, as we know, on the Galaxy S23 Ultra. So, 5x versus 10x. Obviously, there's, a want for have that longer Periscope Zoom. Of course, you can still go 5x on your S23 Ultra if you want. But I have been impressed with the iPhone's performance on there, so I will give it to Apple there. They did a pretty nice job. So those are the three positive things, which is the titanium frame makes it lighter, which is great. It also feels better in the hand, I think, if you don't use a case. We now have that 5x Periscope Zoom I just mentioned. And of course, Apple switched over to the USB Type-C. So those are the really big improvements that I think you'll notice right away. So let me talk about now some things that have kind of bugged me about using it for 2 days. I talk about this all the time, and someone mentioned it. I mentioned it on Twitter, and someone mentioned, well, Apple actually does have a back gesture. They do, but it's not universal. So one thing that bugs me about using an iPhone is that if you're going, in menus and stuff, you can swipe back from the left, swipe right in from the left side, you can swipe right to go back to the previous page. That only works in certain apps, and it still doesn't work in a lot of stuff that I use. A lot of third-party apps, including a lot of the Google apps, don't support that on the iPhone. It's not universal like the back gestures that you have on your Galaxy phone, your Pixel, and it also doesn't replace a back button. So on Android, you've got the choice of a button or a gesture, and you don't have any of that on iOS. That always bothers me. It's really, really annoying. I'm also not a huge fan of the notifications because, of course, you got to swipe up here to see more notifications. They don't just stay in the shade, with the icons like on a Samsung device. Notification management's always been a huge annoyance to me on iPhones, and so that's something I always miss about my Samsung phones. The level of customization here is really pedestrian. I know Apple has these shortcuts functionality, but it's really difficult to set up a lot of the same stuff you can set in stock One UI on the Galaxy device. Right now, I don't have custom icon packs on here just because I'm running the beta and people want to see it kind of clean. But you also can't really install custom icon packs easily on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. You have to do them one at a time. It takes forever. Every year when I get an iPhone, I'm like, I'm going to install a custom icon pack. And then I just don't because it's so annoying and time consuming and I don't feel like wasting that much time. So it's another thing that I missed is the level of customization. I miss One Hand Operation Plus where I can swipe to get my widgets. I mean, Apple has some of these things, but they have them at a very surface level and they're not quite as convenient as they are on the Galaxy phone. A couple of other key things that I missed that Apple just doesn't have at all is the S Pen. That's a very obvious one. Always miss the S Pen because I don't have S Pen functionality and you can't use the Apple Pencil with your iPhone. So that's just something that's not available. Also, reverse wireless charging, which I've talked about quite a few times in my comparison videos. You cannot reverse wirelessly charge on that device. So that's obviously a pretty big downside because I can do that with my S23 Ultra. So, pretty disappointing to not have those extra features that I use. And Samsung, even though they don't charge the fastest in Android, still charges slightly faster than Apple for wired fast charging. So that's another thing at the end of the day. So I made, every year I try using the iPhone as my main phone. The organization, the notification management, the lack of customization, the lack of a back gesture, lose a bunch of features like the S Pen. The Periscope Zoom is a downgrade. It's just, it's a personal preference, but there's a lot of things I miss, and I'm going to try using it for a few more days. I'm trying to go a full week as my main device and then switch back, so maybe I can make a 1 week update. But right now, I definitely regret it, as I usually do. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Oh, and one other thing before I go. This phone does get kind of hot. I know some people talking about this on Twitter. The Pro and the Pro Max, if you use them for a long time, specifically if you scroll through the Apple Photos app or even Google Photos, I don't know why, but it gets really, really warm, which I've never really experienced too much on an iPhone. So maybe there'll be a hotfix update for that, but that's another kind of annoying issue. So that's one more thing to add to the list. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification icon. Check out the S24 Ultra mystery box if you guys are going to order here in the US. Really, really excited to do that for all the community. It's a really fun program. You get some cool stuff for free. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching.